Hello, this is Jerry Thurber. It's been a couple of weeks since I was able to talk to you about our social media product, and I wanted to get started again. Today what I want to talk to you about is job relevancy and establishing your own program for doing a social media check. I've got 7 items I want to talk to you about today. These are key items that help you to create a mapping between the screening criteria you would use and the actual results of those criteria and how they relate to job relevancy. The first one we call corporate disparagement, or basically it's bad-mouthing a company. What we're talking about here is a pattern of negative comments about a company, past companies, current company, and or current and past employees. The second is a tendency towards violent behavior. In a social media search, oftentimes you can find that people express themselves in very violent ways and talk about violent acts. That's certainly not somebody, if you're considering a safe workplace, that you'd want to have working for you. The third is indication of drug use. We've certainly found examples where people talk about smoking marijuana or being involved in drugs in a way that really is inappropriate, or an underage person drinking. The other is what we would call poor judgment. So this is things where people are talking on their Facebook or LinkedIn or other social media account about doing things that really show poor judgment in the way they think about stuff, and that's certainly something you want to try to avoid. The fourth area, or fifth area, I guess, is what I would call racist or antisocial behavior. So unfortunately there are people like that express themselves rather aggressively in the social media environment, and they talk about hating other groups, hating individuals because they are part of a group, hating a religious or sexual orientation of some kind. Typically this is not the kind of person you'd want to have as an employee, and it's a great screening criteria. The next is inappropriate sexual behavior. You know, this is one of those areas where people sometimes feel differently about one way or another, and the definition of inappropriate is something that you'd really want to define very clearly. But if people are going way over the line with obvious things like child pornography or something of that sort, and there's evidence of that in social media, certainly you'd want to use that as a screening criteria for not hiring somebody. And the last area that we've piloted is what we call the honesty integrity. And what that's really all about is if people are talking about ripping off the company or stealing a hot dog from the vendor that when he wasn't looking or something like that, and bragging about it in their social media, this is probably not somebody you'd want to hire. So those criteria are ones that you can essentially create when you're doing a social media review. You can establish a weighting criteria against those criteria, or against those elements, and then use that to establish a pattern for a person who would or would not be eligible to work for you. I also want to talk about one other element of social media screening that we found to be quite successful, and that's what we call the positive screen. The positive screen is you not only find things about people where maybe they've done something that you think is inappropriate given the job circumstance, but it's also equally interesting to find out the positive things that you find out about people. For instance, from a cultural fit perspective, you may find that people are actively involved in outside activities like charity events or professional activities. You may find that they're very influential in their profession. So in other words, if they blog a lot or they talk a lot about their business and other people find what they say to be relevant and valuable, then you realize from a positive perspective that their social media footprint is something that, that really adds value to you and the company. I suggest you begin to think about using social media in your hiring process, and I think you'll find, as we do, that it's a quality instrument that helps you make a good, safe, honest hire.